There's a fly in here. I hear it. Oh no, my camera's moved. That's my plants. Maybe I'll tell you their names in another video. Fly gods, please. Where are we at here? I think this is where I was. Maybe not. Oh, this fly. It's the end of days. Hey guys, Sam here from Mind Over Miracles with Samantha Nicole. In today's video, we're going to be talking about exactly what happens in a quantum healing hypnosis session from start to finish from the perspective of a quantum healer. Each practitioner is unique, so I'm going to help you to understand how I run my quantum healing hypnosis sessions and help you to figure out whether or not it might be something that could help you along in your spiritual journey. If this is your first time here, then welcome. My name is Sam and I am a quantum healer and intuitive channel. And on this channel, we discuss quantum healing hypnosis, spirituality, and personal development. By the end of this video, you're going to understand my booking process, how to prepare for a session, what happens in a pre-session interview, the power of setting intentions and how water alchemy can be used in a session, what happens in a hypnotic induction, the elements of the session itself, and what to expect post-session. So let's start talking a bit about my booking process and how it is that you can book an appointment with me from start to finish. So the very first step in initiating a quantum healing hypnosis session with me is to fill out my intake form. Now I've left a link in the description box below so you can check that out if you're interested. I carefully review each and every submission so that I can get a good feel for who this client might be, what their issues are, what their expectations are from a session, and from there I can gauge whether or not I feel as though we'd be able to work well together. I always use my intuition for this and it hasn't let me down so far. I carefully review each and every submission and I use my intuition to help determine whether or not a particular client would be a good match for me and my energy and whether or not I really want to work with them. In some cases, I'll refer a client to another practitioner, somebody who might have a different personality than me or maybe a different set of skills that I feel would better resonate with the client and what it is that they're looking for from a session. This is a really intuitive process for me, so even though there are some things that I do consider from kind of a mental headspace, I do always ultimately go with my gut when deciding who it is that I choose to work with, who it is that I feel I resonate with, and who it is that I ultimately feel as though I could benefit. Next, I will send the client an email to let them know about my decision. If I've decided that I'm going to be referring this client to another practitioner, this is when I'll do it via email. Usually beforehand, I'll go ahead and chat with a practitioner I have in mind, maybe a few practitioners that I have in mind, and see who might be a better match. For clients that I am interested in working with, the first email that I send will include a link to an invoice where they can pay for their session upfront. Once they've made a payment, I will email them again with a link to my booking tool, and this gives them the option to choose a date and time for their session. That email also contains instructions for how the client can best prepare themselves and their space for the session, but we will get into that a little bit more in the next section. And lastly, before the actual appointment date, I will send the client an email with a link to a Zoom meeting, and this is how they're going to access the session with me on the day of the appointment. All right, so let's talk about how to prepare for a session. Now this section is really split into two separate categories and we're going to talk about both. So the first is how to prepare your space for an online quantum healing hypnosis session. So in order to prepare your space, you will need a quiet and private location where you won't be disturbed, a comfortable spot like a bed, a couch, or a recliner, somewhere where you can get really, really comfortable and really, really relaxed. A camera or a webcam that can be positioned to show both your face and your chest during the session when you're in that relaxed, reclined position. This is really important because I need to be able to monitor your breathing and your facial expressions during the session. It's how I am able to adjust my style to wherever it is that you're at in the moment. You're going to need a microphone and headphones. This is really, really important because when you're in hypnosis, sometimes even really, really loud people like me will whisper and be almost inaudible without some type of microphone to pick up the audio. So that's really, really important. Headphones are really helpful as well because if you have any external noise, it really helps to muffle that and it gives you the sensation of being in the room with me versus having a voice that's distant and far away. You're going to need consistent lighting. Sessions are often several hours in length. My sessions usually run from about 3 to 5 hours, sometimes a little bit longer. So in that time, if you're just relying on a window or something like that, the sun could go down, a storm could roll in. There's lots of different things that could factor into the lighting. Like I said before, I really need to be able to see your facial expressions and your breathing, and that can really be inhibited if you don't have a steady light source. So lamps are a great option. Overhead lighting is good as well. And I understand that, not everybody likes to have like fluorescent bulbs in their face when they're trying to relax. So a lamp is usually my recommended choice if you have that option. You're going to need a stable internet connection. So since my sessions are done online through Zoom, Zoom does require a certain level of upload and download speed in order to function. It's not very much. Most people who have internet access and who are accessing this video are probably going to have enough of a bandwidth to be able to support this. I think bandwidth is the word. I'm not really sure, but I think that's right. What you'll need, according to Zoom, is a 4 megabyte per second upload and download speed. And anybody who's had that, I've never really had a problem. You can go to speedtest.net and that will automatically check your download and upload speed. So if you're worried about it, or if you live in the boonies or something like that, that's something that you could check out to test. You're also going to need undisturbed washroom access. So if you have to go to the washroom in the middle of a session, you're all zenned out, you're relaxed, you're in the session, but you have to go to the washroom. So we take a quick break, and the last thing that you want to do is, have to trek through your busy kitchen where your kids are running around and screaming, or, a common area like that. So really try and find a space where you can have an unobstructed path to the washroom, or at least get some privacy on the day of the session where you won't have to worry about people running around. And the last thing that you're going to want in order to prepare your space for a session is water and snacks. So water is going to be important for the water alchemy process that I normally do in my sessions. We're going to talk about that a little bit later on in the video. And snacks are really good for grounding yourself after the session. You can really come into this really lofty, high vibe space while you're experiencing a session itself. So coming down afterwards and grounding all of those energies is really helpful, and you can do that with food. So now that we've talked about how you can prepare your space for a session, let's talk about how you can prepare yourself. So I book my sessions no sooner than 1 week out. And this is very intentional. I do this so that my clients have an opportunity to prepare themselves in advance so they can really make the most of their session. One of the most important and most helpful things that I recommend to my clients when they're trying to prepare for a session is to meditate. So if you're somebody who's already a very experienced meditator, this is the perfect time for you to start lengthening or deepening your practice. And if you're a beginner to meditation, maybe you've never meditated before, this is really the perfect time to start. Meditation helps to quiet the thinking mind, which can be really invaluable during a session. People who have a lot of racing thoughts and have a hard time quieting their mind can sometimes find it more difficult to concentrate and stay focused during hypnosis. Getting a good night's sleep is also really, really important so that you don't fall asleep during the session. Hypnosis is very relaxing, so it's not uncommon for people to fall asleep if they're already feeling tired. I also highly, highly recommend exercising on the day of your session. So whether that's in the morning when you wake up or just a few hours before the session begins, it's a really, really great way for you to tire out your muscles and achieve a deeper state of relaxation. The last thing that you'll want to do to prepare for your session is to create a list of questions. This is the really fun part. Some people come with only one question or a handful of questions, but if you're anything like me, you'll probably come with about 2 pages. Either way, my best suggestion for you is to take your time with your list of questions. Start it as soon as you know that you're going to be having a session and work on it bit by bit as things come to you until the day of your session itself. I did this with my own list of questions for my very, very first Quantum Healing Hypnosis session as a client, and I can tell you that I added things every single day until my appointment started. So what types of questions can you ask? Well, anything really. To help give you a better idea, here are a few examples of common questions that my clients ask during sessions. I've had asthma since birth. Why is that, and can it be healed? I really hate my job and I would love to be able to quit. What should I do instead? I have a really challenging relationship with a relative. How did it start and can it be resolved? Many years ago, I had a strange experience that I couldn't explain. What was it and why did it happen to me? I've had an unexplainable lifelong interest in trains. I have no idea where it came from and I'm not sure why it's there. Can we explore this in depth? I had a spiritual encounter recently. What was that about? I've had this recurring dream for years, but I'm not sure what it means. Coming up with a list of questions is really a perfect time for you to assess every category of your life. Go through your memories, your past experiences, all of the things that you've wondered, all of the issues that you're experiencing in your current life, physical ailments, personal issues, relationship issues, etc., etc. And this is a really good pool of information to work from when you're coming up with great questions for your session. Please don't stress if you're having a hard time coming up with a list of questions. I can always help you to figure out ideas during the pre-session interview, which leads us into the next section. So what happens in a pre-session interview? So the pre-session interview takes place on the day of the session. It's incorporated into the same appointment as the session itself. It just takes place before the actual hypnosis. We start with a tech check. I'll check all of the details of your space, including lighting, angles, and where you'll be positioned during hypnosis. Once we have our bases covered there, I'll start to ask lots of questions about your past, your current experiences, your relationships, and lots more. This is an important step where I get to know you a bit more, tune into your energy, and understand the key players and experiences that have shaped you in your life. It really gives me the context that I need in order to be able to respond appropriately to anything that might come up during the session. After I've gotten to know you, we'll spend some time together working to create an intention for the session that really encompasses all of the key reasons that you came to book an appointment with me to begin with. And this brings us to the power of setting intentions and how water alchemy can be used in a session. Intentions are powerful because they set the energy of our goals for the session into motion. Developing an intention creates a point of attraction that draws to it all of the healing, the answers, and the guidance that you're hoping to receive. In many of my sessions, I like to use a process called water alchemy, which helps to seal in the intention that we've created for the session. Water actually holds vibration and intention beautifully. We know this by examining the molecules of water that's been prayed over or spoken to positively versus water that's been yelled at or spoken to negatively. Water that's been infused with negativity looks like formless blobs under a microscope, whereas something like holy water, for example, begins to form beautiful patterns and geometric shapes like snowflakes. If you're interested in learning more about how water holds vibration, I recommend checking out The Secret Life of Water by Masaru Emoto. I'll link it in the description box below. Since humans are made primarily of water, by infusing an intention into water and then drinking it, we're literally taking that intention into our body and making it part of ourselves, which enhances its magnetic effect. To do this in sessions, I guide my clients through a quick guided visualization exercise. If you're enjoying the video so far and you're interested in learning more about other spiritual topics, go ahead and hit the subscribe button below. So what happens in a hypnotic induction? Hypnosis is a natural state that we all experience throughout the day. It can be described as a state of enhanced focus and relaxation. So induction is just the word that we use to describe the process that takes you from an alert and awake state to a state of deepened relaxation and focus. And induction is similar to a guided meditation in that it uses visualization techniques to help you gain deeper and deeper states of relaxation. I will definitely be doing a separate video about common myths and misconceptions about hypnosis, so I'm not going to go into too much detail here, but I do want to say that hypnosis is not sleep. You will be awake and conscious throughout the entire experience. You'll just be very relaxed. And this brings us to the elements of the session itself. Absolutely any experience you could imagine is possible in a session. Each session is completely unique, but most include some common elements that I will mention here in this section. The first is an element of experience. This could be scenes from a past or future life, a memory from the current life, or even life between lives. Some people experience only one scene, while others will experience multiple lifetimes in multiple places as multiple beings or non-beings. What's important to remember is that your higher self, or what some people would refer to as the subconscious mind, is always what's running the show. You will always receive exactly the information that you need to receive at this time, no more and no less. The second element in a quantum healing hypnosis session is the healing experience. At some point during the session, I'll walk you through a guided visualization exercise that helps to bring about general healing. If there's something specific that needs to be addressed within the body, like a physical problem, I'll sometimes guide you through a body scan as well. This just helps to identify and heal any issues that might be present. The last element of the session is where we bring in a source of wisdom. This might be your higher self, a spirit guide, an angel, an ancestor, a keeper of the Akashic records, or really anything else that feels appropriate in the situation. This source of wisdom is going to help us to answer the questions that you brought for the session, as well as gain insight into why the scenes that came up earlier were relevant to you and your life experience. Once all of the questions have been answered, I will end the session by bringing you back up out of hypnosis. So what to expect post-session? After the session, we'll have a quick chat about what happened, and then we'll end the Zoom meeting. I'll send you a recording of the session as soon as it's finished uploading, and then I'll follow up with you again in a few weeks just to check in. Quantum healing hypnosis can often be dreamlike in the sense that it's easy to forget details as time passes. For this reason, the recording is an awesome resource to have. It's also common for clients to receive more insight the more they watch the recording. So I always recommend clients watch it within a week and then periodically after that. I myself wasn't so sure about how successful my session was the first time I experienced one as a client, but the more that I listened to the recording and applied the advice that I had received, the more I realized how beneficial the session actually was. So now that you have a really good understanding of what a quantum healing hypnosis session with me looks like, if you are interested in booking an online session, you can go ahead and fill out my intake form. It's in the description box below. But that is all for me today, peeps. Until next time, namaste. And have a beautiful day.